Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. So we're picking up where we last left off after our handoff to the tower controller. Now, our previous instruction was we were cleared for the ILS approach, runway 08 left. We have reporters established on the approach and we have been assigned a speed of 160 knots until 4 DME. Now, we are currently trying to slow the airplane down to 4 DME, and we now have to contact the tower. When calling the tower, there may be different answers that they might give you. In many cases, in real life, they're just going to say something like, "Hello," and that's it, because they don't have any further clearance to give to you. So, let's talk through this for a moment. We've just dialed in the tower frequency 120.5 and we're going to give him a call. In the call to tower, include the runway that you're approaching and any speed restriction if you have one assigned. So, in our case, we have a speed restriction of 160 knots. We are approaching runway 08 left. So, we're going to call something like this. Munich Tower, hello, Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, ILS 08 left, reducing speed 160 knots. Note that you only have to include the airspeed when you actually have an airspeed assigned. If there is no speed assignment, then you don't need to include the speed in your initial call. Also, if the airport only has a single runway, it is sufficient to call the tower with your call sign only, but it never hurts to mention the runway that you're approaching as well. So, in any case, something like Munich Tower, Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, ILS 08 left is going to work for you. The answer, as said, may in many cases just be Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, Munich Tower, hello. In that case, you're simply going to continue the approach and you will receive a landing clearance later on. Many VATSIM controllers also give you a little bit of information on what is currently happening, so you may get something like Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, Munich Tower, hello, number 2. That means you are the second aircraft on the approach, there is somebody approaching in front of you. Or it may go something like Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, Munich Tower, hello, 1 departure ahead. In that case, you are not going to get landing clearance yet because there is an aircraft that is going to take off in front of you. In none of these cases you have to be worried that you are not getting landing clearance, you simply continue your approach. The moment where I would get worried about landing clearance is when you are approaching the minimum on the approach, and if that happens, tower may still tell you something like expect late landing clearance. In that case, he has already told you that you can expect to get your landing clearance very late. Now, all of that is no problem at all, simply continue the approach. The point where you have to go around if you have not received any landing clearance is when you're overflying the threshold of the runway. In that case, make sure that you're not going to touch the runway, so don't touch down, just go around as usual and advise tower of the go around. Of course, the easiest option of what may happen as well is that you are simply going to get landing clearance. So, in that case, the answer of the tower may simply be Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, Munich Tower, hello, wind, calm, runway 08 left, clear to land. In either of those cases, if tower just tells you anything else than the landing clearance, you can just acknowledge by reading back your call sign only, and if the tower just said hello, there is not even a reason to answer at all. So, let's say the tower says 1 departure ahead, then you can just say Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, roger. Or even just Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray. In that case, that means as much as I've understood the message and I'm going to continue the approach. Now, before we are going to talk about the landing, let's quickly talk about the go-around. So, at any point in the approach, tower might advise you to go around. If he's doing that, then you are going to initiate the go-around maneuver, and when you're on the go-around, you'll just read back the go-around and maybe specific instruction that the tower controller may have given you. So a go-around clearance usually includes the clearance of what you are supposed to do for the go-around procedure. So it may go something like this. Abilene 4 Uniform X-ray, go around, fly missed approach as published. In that case, you are going to read back, Airplane for Uniform X-ray going around missed approach as published. So that means that you're going to fly the missed approach that is published on the approach chart. That should also be loaded in the flight management computer if you have selected the correct approach. In some cases, however, the go-around clearance may be issued including specific instructions. That can especially be the case if you are getting in conflict with another aircraft, so a go-around clearance may look something like this. Airplane for Uniform X-ray, go around, maintain runway heading, climb altitude 5,000 feet. In that case, you're being given a route clearance, so you'll have to read it back as well. So your answer is going to be Airplane for Uniform X-ray, going around, runway heading 5,000 feet. So, with all of that said and done, let's talk about one final situation that may occur to you when you are flying on the approach. As you can see, we are right now approaching pretty fast. So, we are 8 miles out, doing 200 knots indicated and 224 knots over the ground. This is a very fast approach, so chances are that you might be catching up with the aircraft that is in front of you. If that happens, you may get an instruction to reduce to final approach speed. The call is going to look something like this. Airplane for Uniform X-ray, reduce final approach speed. You're going to read exactly that back, reducing to final approach speed, Airplane for Uniform X-ray. And in that case, if that happens, then you should, as quickly as possible, while of course respecting all the limits of your aircraft, reduce the speed to the final approach speed. Now, let's assume that we have just gotten this instruction, so let's unpause the simulator here and start with our approach. As a quick note, I've taken the aircraft out of autopilot while the simulator is in pause mode, so as soon as I'm unpausing the simulator, I'm going to put it back into autopilot. That is not relevant for VATSIM operation, that is just for the case of recording this video. So, now Tower is saying, Airplane for Uniform X-ray, reduce final approach speed. Reducing final approach speed, Airplane for Uniform X-ray. In our case we can see, the speed breaker is not really helpful here, so let's go, gear down, flap 15, and that is going to help us get our speed reduced. And eventually the long-awaited call is going to come. Airplane for Uniform X-ray, wind 080 degrees, 5 knots, runway 08 left, clear to land. Your readback is going to be clear to land, runway 08 left, Airplane for Uniform X-ray. So with our landing clearance received, we can continue the approach to the landing, but be aware that at any time, even if you have landing clearance received, you may still get a go-around instruction. So on your approach, you should always be go-around minded and think about it as in, I'm flying on an approach to the go-around, and if I happen to be landing out of it, hey, that's great, and that's it. So, you can see right now we are having a tailwind that's slightly variable between something up to 10 knots. If this happens to you on the network, it's always a good idea to report that to the tower controller after landing, because they may want to change the landing runway into the opposite direction to enable approaches with a headwind. One more instruction that you may be getting from the tower controller is a specific taxiway where to vacate the runway. Now, if you don't know the airport layout very well and you don't have the charts ready, you can always tell them unable, because you don't know where it is. But you should try to meet this instruction as often as possible. Also note, your time on the runway should be minimized, so you should aim to vacate the runway as quickly as possible and not make it roll, for example, all the way to the end just because your gate is over there. So you should always aim to catch a sensible exit for the aircraft type 30, that you are flying.
20, 10.
On the ground, reversers are out, motor brake is operating. We can see our first exit is coming over here, but we are still too quick to make it. So let's go ahead and catch the second exit then. You may want to override the auto brakes here a little bit in order to actually reduce our speed timely enough to catch the exit. And if it is a high-speed exit, do take it at a good speed, so don't slow the aircraft down to maybe 10 knots on the runway unless the exit is a 90-degree exit. In general, rapid exit taxiways are always preferred. Now, when you are vacating the runway, be sure to get your aircraft across the complete line. So, only when your airplane is completely beyond the whole throttle line, you have actually left your runway. In many cases, when you're vacating the runway, the air traffic controller is going to give you an instruction on where to continue. So they may already say something like, turn right on taxiway Mike, contact ground 121.9er. In other cases, however, they may not give you such an instruction, and if that is not the case, be sure that you vacate the runway completely, so take your whole aircraft beyond the exit line, but stop in front of any other taxiway, so stay clear of the taxiway system. This is pretty much all we have to say about vacating the runway after our landing. And I'm going to meet you again in the taxi-in video, because I will talk about a couple of specialties that you may be experiencing during taxi operation. For now, if you want to support the channel, I would always appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Until then, let me know what you think about the video. Have I forgotten to mention anything? How are you handling things? Be sure to leave a like and a subscription to the channel, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.